Hello, this is Dr. Bob DeMaria, the Drugless doctor, getting to know kids' health. It actually starts before the child is even born. What the mother does to her own personal physical body impacts the health of the child. Let me share a thought with you. Iodine. Iodine is so important for what we call proper neural tube development. That's the part of the nervous system that's going to be developing inside of a child. I usually encourage our female patients to take up to 12 milligrams of iodine per day, and I really encourage them to have a thyroid panel done prior to conceiving a child, because if you have poor thyroid function, your potential to have a miscarriage increases. We always really want our children to be born vaginally versus a C-section because of just the natural therapeutics with that natural womb release of the baby with their neck and their head. But once that child is born, there's some important steps I want you to be aware of that affects them long term. You really want your child to crawl as much as they possibly can. I've shared with my patients on more than one occasion, and I've written about this. You do not want to put your child in a walker. If you put your child in a walker, that's going to put unnecessary stress to their hips and to their low back region before they're really ready to develop that. And I've seen some long-term spinal problems occur because of a walker. Even putting your child in a restricted quarters like a playpen can restrict neurologic activity and neurologic development in your child. And I know this might seem minimal, but it does make a difference with their long-term schooling and training and what we call muscle memory and how their whole body interacts. Giving the child the right food from the beginning is also very, very significant. Obviously, women have breasts designed to help support breastfeeding their child, and we usually encourage at least 6 to 10 months, even up to a year of breastfeeding the child, because the child is going to get the nutrients. Now, the breast milk is only as good as what the mother is eating. If a child is breastfeeding, is having colic, more than likely the mother has made some choices that are irritating the child's digestive system, and that can include any of the cruciferous foods, and even some legumes and beans can be an issue. I bring that up because too many people feed their children food that their digestive system is really not able to handle from the very beginning. If you're using a primary source of breast milk, you could slowly add squashes, sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are different than white potatoes. I personally would not start with any sweet fruit like mangoes or bananas, primarily because you really don't want to start that whole blood sugar issue, even though that it's fruit. The reason I'm bringing this up is because allergies can result from eating whole grains, especially wheat, too soon in a child's life. We don't ever promote soy. Ever do we promote soy for children. And the reason is that soy primarily in our country, in the United States, is sourced from genetically modified venues. Also, soy tends to increase estrogen, and we're hearing and we're researching and seeing more young boys that could have, in fact, enlarged or inflamed prostates at a very young age, and we have young girls that have very advanced secondary sexual characteristics, and their bodies are just not ready for that. I would encourage you to spend as much time with your child that you possibly can. I would minimize the amount of electronic toy stimulation. And I see this in our practice. I've been practicing since the mid-1970s, and I noticed the proliferation of electronic toys and how electronic toys are changing the way that children think and engage and use their capacity to learn. I'm not saying to eliminate all electronic stimulation, but at one point, children need to think on their own, and I want you to participate more with your child, because what I have found, and studying ADHD and ADD a good portion of my career that all behavior dysfunction starts from the very, very beginning. I actually treat patients who are teachers that have students that have brain dysfunction, and they always tell me that the electronic toys and the lack of exercise impairs neurologic function with their children that come into their office or come into their environment. As a real challenge is, I know that parents are very busy today, but I want you to take time with your children. I want you to read to them. I want you to read a variety of stories to them. I want you to make life a lot of fun for them. Kids love to laugh and play and discover. You want to take your children outside. You want to be with them outside. You want to play games with them outside because that improves hand-eye coordination, which improves their ability to write and to read. And I've just learned this myself along the way, raising my own children and listening to teachers and authorities in this area. You're going to improve the development of your child by engaging with them in all levels. And I know that food is such an integral part. Whatever the child eats or whatever the mom and dad eat, the child's going to eat also. So you want to have what we call generational blessings. You want to create an environment in your home that you have food that if you're going to eat it, you have to feel comfortable that the child's going to eat it also. In other words, I don't really want you eating a lot of chocolate items. Why? Because chocolate itself, from my experience, can cause a lot of emotional roller coasters because of the highs and the lows with blood sugar and also the chemicals that are inside of chocolate, which include theobromine and methylxanthine. Those are two chemicals that are mood alterators that can affect a child. Let's talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, the major studying on ADHD. And there's one particular food that you want to totally keep away from your children, and that happens to be trans fat or partially hydrogenated oils. It just hurts my heart when I see parents handing their children French fries. French fry is the #1 vegetable in America. French fries cooked in trans fat or partially hydrogenated oils impairs function in a child's brain and their development of normal neurologic activity. I want you to start looking at the breakfast cereals that you're feeding your children. They're oftentimes loaded with sugar, wheat products, and trans fat, partially hydrogenated oils, and dyes or colors. It's been recently reported throughout the United States, once again, that food coloring can impair dysfunction in a child, their ability to communicate and their ability to have proper behavior. You want to always use whole food. Let's talk about cooking around the home and grocery shopping. I would take your child grocery shopping. Let them pick out foods. You come home with them and you prepare those foods. By doing that, they are seeing how they could take something and create it and how it continues on the health of their body. I'll take it even a step further. Any time of year, you could start a herb and vegetable garden. You can get a pot with some organic soil and put some seeds in it. Probably one of the easiest foods to grow any time of the year is lettuce. And you could just get a pot with organic soil and organic fertilizer, plant the seeds, let the child take responsibility to nurture and watch the food grow, and then they can eat this. It's a cycle. It's kind of like the circle of life that you're letting that child from the very beginning engage in their long-term development. You need to spend time with that child. Exercise is so important. Drink water. What you do is going to be duplicated in the child. So whatever you do, your own inventory about what's going on with your own health habits that you need to be changed, you're going to want to do those even before you think about having a child. So that whole transition in our society, because see, this is counterculture, it's contrary. Our society today wants convenience and fast, and I can share with you, you do not want your child to start off eating a lot of processed foods because their taste buds are going to be tricked. You do not want that to happen. I'm Dr. Bob DeMaria, the Drugless Doctor. getting to know how to raise healthy children.